Have you ever had one of those massive, almost impossible sounding goals, but then you look at your calendar and just think, there is no way? Well, today we're going to break down a system that's designed for exactly that reality. It's all about how to achieve huge goals without needing huge blocks of free time. Let's dig in.
So check this out. This whole idea comes from this incredible claim by Adam Jazayeri. He managed to memorize over 200 pages of the Quran. I mean, that's a monumental task for anyone. And he did it while juggling school, a job, and all of life's other responsibilities. He's really clear that he's not special, which tells you the secret isn't some rare gift. It's a system that anyone can use.
And that's the big question, isn't it? It's the one we all ask ourselves. When your day is already packed to the brim and your brain feels completely fried by dinner time, where's this magical extra time supposed to come from? Well, the answer isn't about finding time. It's about completely changing how you think about time itself.
And that brings us right into our first section, the myth of free time. This is where we are going to dismantle the single biggest mental block that stops most people before they even get started. And it's all based on a total misunderstanding of how real progress is actually made.
Okay, so the myth is that we need this perfect, uninterrupted session to make any real progress. We picture ourselves having to quit our jobs or go to the desert or find this sacred 2-hour window every single day. But the reality, and this is the big turning point, is to stop thinking in sessions and start thinking in spurts. You just use the small, scattered pockets of time that already exist in your day.
See, this system was built for the real world. The world where you don't have total control over your schedule, where unexpected things pop up all the time, and where, by the end of the day, you're just plain exhausted. It's not about finding some perfect day. It's about working within the chaos of a totally normal one.
And here's the proof that this actually works. When these little pockets of time, a few minutes here, maybe a half hour there, were actually added up, they often amounted to a staggering 2, sometimes even 2.5 hours of focused work each day. It just proves that all those small, consistent efforts, they compound into something absolutely massive.
So, if we're not relying on one single heroic session, what does this actually look like in practice? That brings us to section 2, where we break it all down into a simple, repeatable daily structure.
The daily routine is basically broken down into 3 little micro sessions. First, a short revision session in the morning, maybe just 15 to 30 minutes. Second, during your commute or while you're walking around, you're just listening to the new stuff you plan to memorize. This kind of warms up your brain. And then finally, whenever a block of time opens up later in the day, that's when you do your focused memorization.
And this is the most crucial mindset shift of all. You do not have to memorize a full page every single day. The goal is simply to make progress. Some days, that might be 4 lines. Other days, maybe it's half a page. The key isn't how much you do each day, it's that you're consistent. And trust me, over weeks and months, you'll be shocked at how much you've actually done.
Now, a daily schedule is great, but what keeps you going when life gets tough or your motivation just disappears? That's where these 3 keys to success come in. These are the principles that make the whole system sustainable for the long haul.
These 3 pillars are pretty much non-negotiable if you want to make this system stick. We're going to look at building accountability so you don't quit, using the habit of constant listening to make the work way easier, and finally, adopting a mindset around persistence that prepares you for the times you're inevitably going to slip up.
Look, if you're chasing a big goal by yourself, you just can't rely on willpower alone. It's not enough. You have to intentionally build an accountability structure around yourself. This could mean using trackers to log your progress, finding a teacher or a mentor, or even joining a community of people on the same journey. Anything to keep you motivated and on track.
This tactic is basically described as the ultimate cheat code, especially for busy people. By constantly listening to the material you want to memorize throughout your day, in the car, while you're doing chores, you're laying the foundation. So when you finally sit down to actively memorize, it is dramatically easier because the words are already kind of flowing in your mind.
And this is so important to accept. You will fall off. There will be weeks where work gets crazy or you're out of town. The key isn't to never slip up, it's to never stop completely. The strategy is what he calls damage control. So instead of quitting, you just reduce your workload. Maybe you revise for 30 minutes instead of an hour. The goal is to never let that chain break entirely.
All right, so we've covered the schedule and the keys to success. But there is one final insight that is arguably the most important of them all, and is something most beginners get totally wrong. This is the real secret weapon. This analogy is just brilliant. Think of revision like a subscription fee for everything you've already learned. In the beginning, when you've only memorized a little bit, that fee is pretty small, but as you memorize more and more, that subscription fee gets higher and higher, and you have to pay it or you'll lose everything you've worked for.
This chart really shows you that critical time shift that has to happen. For a beginner, most of your time is spent on memorizing new material, right? But as you get more advanced, that flips dramatically. The majority of your time, we're talking maybe even 80% or more, has to shift over to revision, just to maintain what you've already got.
So here's the bottom line. Memorizing new things feels like progress, and it's exciting, but it's actually the easy part. The real, hard, essential work is retention, because all that new knowledge is completely worthless if you just forget it a few weeks later.
I mean, just think about it for a second. How many people never even start their biggest goals because they believe they don't have the time or they don't have the ability? There are millions of people out there with so much untapped potential. Don't let that be you.
This system isn't just about memorizing the Quran. It's a blueprint for tackling any massive project, whether that's learning a new language, mastering an instrument, or finally writing that book. So the only question left is, using those small pockets of time you already have, what impossible goal are you going to start chipping away at today?